We had some highs and some lows this week, so let's get digging into the Make Fantasy Football Great Again pod.
Going as fast as I can.
That stuff. And honestly, some of the new designs. The black and the Saints.
I've officially given up on Taysom Hill. I'm sorry. Welcome to the Chuck and Dave pod.
I'm Chuck.
I'm Dave. Here's our pod from the lovely basement dungeon underneath my home. Yes, I'm moving spaces in the process of moving spaces right now. So it's not much. It's sitting next to some paint cans right now.
I was just going to say, the white walls really leave it as a true blank slate. You could do whatever you want.
It is true. That is true.
You can plaster it with pendants from each of the Pony and Polecast championship seasons.
Nice. Year 2? No, wait. You got
one.
One?
I don't think I ever won any other year. Well, no. Really early on, back in like the ESPN days, I do believe I got 2 in a row.
So, yeah, I will be getting better. I need to get some better lighting in here. I'm really shadowed out.
But I think it improves the show not being able to see you.
Zinger, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Oh, Jordan's here. Did Kara kick you out of the kitchen? Well, yes, she did. She didn't kick me out of the kitchen. She just asked one day if I was going to be doing this every week, and I said yes. And then I was realizing I wanted something a little bit more permanent. And so then I moved down to the basement, and I was in this livable area, but we need to have that so that if kids come over, they can play in the basement and such. So I moved to the storage area. So if it's a little echoey in here, it's because I got a lot of blank walls and no carpeting. So
we will make it work.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
We'll add it piece by piece as we go. I already like what you did with last year. You get that chalkboard hung up there.
I mean, I'm looking right at it. I'm a little bummed. I got some lava lamps that I found in the basement that I want to put up.
I love some lava lamps in there.
Yeah, I know.
I'm always looking to get mine. I like the bookshelves that I've got this year.
Yeah, it looks very official.
It's a little professional. When you look at Ian Rappaport and things like that, they've got the shelves. So got the newest edition, of course.
The SNE. Yeah, that brings us to our first point on the agenda. Gotta congrat the new SNEGA champion. I had to pass on my championship to Chuck.
Yes,
and he won in a very commanding way.
3 strokes. I don't know how commanding, but
I mean, but we're always scared of Sam, and Sam put up he was 10 strokes behind you. So
it was. Well, hopefully next year it goes back to you and we just play keep away.
That'd be great. Even it out just a little bit, so it's not
it would take about 6 years.
Yeah, a couple of years, but
to do that.
Yeah.
Well, what a week, man! What a week 4. This was by far the just a lot of big things going on.
Yeah.
When you look at the scores, obviously we missed a lot of the real time being gone camping different kind of the early games, but gosh, once we looked, it was just there wasn't a lot of nail biting here, and there wasn't really much that it came down to. Monday night was not up for grabs for really anybody. Even Sunday night wasn't much, but a lot of big things. I wrote here we had both the highest and lowest scores of the season came so far this week. Every single game the favored team won. So we didn't have any upsets.
Oh, really?
this week, and we the smallest margin of victory this week was 31 points. That was the closest game.
Wow.
So, and honestly, the NFL was pretty much like that too. I think there were 7 games that were pretty big blowouts when you look at the scores from last week. It was just, and that reflected in our scores too.
Yeah, that there was a lot of blowouts last week. I'm just surprised that there were no upsets. That just seems so outlandish to me, but I guess that makes sense. I just was surprised to hear that the North Shore Nincompoops were actually supposed to beat the Tharsis Jackals.
Well, the Nincompoops were projected to win all 4 of their games so far this year, and they're going 1-3.
That is true. He is severely underperforming.
I should start adding up everyone's projected totals and then what their actual totals are, and we'll get the plus minus. I'll try to do that for next week.
That's all right. I mean, we don't have to do that. That's not an every week thing we would want to do anyways. I mean, it's good to hear like once or twice a year. So
I wouldn't talk about it every week, but if I don't do it every week, it's a lot harder to go back and do it 16 times than to just do it every week.
Wow. Jordan says in my other league, I lost by 0.6 points. That is quite the point margin. That would be frustrating because that's basically a statistical error.
You could have been a stat correction away.
Yeah.
What is our current record for the smallest margin of victory? I think we said it last year because I don't have it over on the second here. Smallest margin of victory last year was 0.32. Embrace the suck over North Shore Nincompoops in week 11.
0.32.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know that Josh beat you in week 1 by like 0.8 this year or something like that.
It was pretty small. I think it was still a point though, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, no, it was. You're right. I'm doing my maths wrong. 1.2, 1.17 points. 1.17. Which is pretty crazy.
So we'll see if we get any that close again this year. The previous year, 2021, the closest was 3.27, and before that we didn't have decimals, so it was just 1.
Yeah.
Unless you want to count the 0-0 tie.
I mean, technically, it's there.
Is a tie? Does a tie count as a margin of victory stat since there was no victory?
I don't know.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Jordan.
Yeah, it's definitely a rough.
I don't know what's worse, losing by just that amount or getting a 150 and losing because you got the one person that got more than you.
Yeah. Wasn't that me?
Both are rough.
Yeah, so let's talk about this week. I mean, we had.
Let's dig in. Where to begin?
A lot of not close games at all.
Nice.
I mean, I think we start in really the Tharsis Jackals are starting to show their true colors. And I don't mean to pick on Josh. His team has kind of been overachieving what it's capable of, and it's finally starting. These are 2 weeks now where he hasn't been able to push the envelope.
Without the win, he did score very well last week, though. Had he played anybody else, he would have won.
That's true.
But other than the 147, he's got 2 scores of sub 100 and a 112. So aside from the anomaly 147, his true colors really are around 100, topping out for his total. And that's tough, especially when in absolute mind-blowing fashion, he has currently got the most points against.
Yeah, I think he's trying to overcorrect to a point where you're like, we started to catch on. We were starting to kind of realize his whole game, and he really is starting to pull back so that it shows that, oh, I guess I'm not that good. Like I don't rig the stats.
I'm real. I'm just like you guys.
I'm just like you guys.
I think, we caught on last year, and then bam, Irish gone. And without that commissioner what did he have? The special commissioner level?
Yeah, the commissioner level on Rich.
Yeah, and things are kind of shaky. He's having a hard time running without that AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, he had a little bit of a rough go of it this week. Let me pull him up here. What did I write down? I mean, no matter what, he probably wasn't going to win. The nincompoops showed up and finally got the scores that we've been saying their team is capable of.
Yeah.
Are they going to continue this every week? I mean, they're not going to get 160 every week, but they certainly are capable of it. I think that they're going to score closer to 120 most weeks rather than 80.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, his team is very good. It's just, he's struggled because Justin Jefferson really hasn't been. I mean, he's been performing well, but the Vikings aren't winning. So,
had the nincompoops started the Denver defense and put David Montgomery in instead of Sanders, they would have scored 197 and set a new lead.
My gosh.
Single game.
That's insane.
So let that be a lesson to you, Sam, when you are looking, and when we look ahead, we'll bring it up again. Montgomery does not belong on your bench.
No. This is now like the third week in a row that we've been like Montgomery doesn't belong on your bench.
Of course, I don't know how many weeks last year we told him not to start the Lions backfield, and I don't think he watches.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be surprising if he even tuned in. I think he only tuned in on the episodes that we had him as a guest.
So maybe we need to get him in here soon and talk.
Yeah, just be the guest so you can actually pay attention. But even as a guest, he was pretty much the most like layman color commentator that you could possibly have, where he was just kind of agreeing with one or the other of us. Go back and watch that episode. It's really funny. Sam has no idea what's happening in pro football, and he just kind of like laughs along with us.
It's mostly us explaining.
Yeah.
I did want to check in a little bit. We went big on the point chasers last week, and some people were not happy with that, thinking that we were shaming them for going after it. It is a viable strategy. You're totally, able to do that. But we had Josh and the Jackals picked up, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Akane. I heard some people saying more like Akane.
I thought it was Achane, but Akane.
However you pronounce it. Picked him up, chasing the big score, and then left him on the bench.
And he scored 30 points.
And I do believe we talked about this week, like, why pick him up to put him on the bench?
Yeah.
And he did score good. So will that be every day? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Was Mostert kind of benched after his lost fumbled, which gave more opportunities, or is he just the guy now? I don't know. The Bears watching as it goes, but it'd be interesting to see going forward. That would not have changed the outcome of the game. It's Achane. Achane, huh?
Is that what he's saying? Achane?
That's what.
Ichen? Is that A or I?
You gotta do a better pronunciation guide.
Yeah, we need we want the lines over the tops of them and stuff because we can see it. I want to see encyclopedia level.
Copy and paste that in there.
Yeah. No.
Either way, it was great to see the nincompoop score some big points. They still left a lot on the bench. The 75 that they left on the bench would have been enough, I believe, to beat your team. No, not quite.
No, not quite.
Sorry, didn't mean to insult you.
Not quite there.
Pretty impressive bench points. Now, the Jackals still are in really good shape for their running backs, as they have been. Robinson, Walker. I don't know why he continues to put Moss kind of goes back and forth, doesn't he? He kind of shoots Moss back and forth on the bench. He's got Mostert. I did not add up and do the weekly check on him. Taylor is now back at practice. Will he play, or are they still trying to trade him? I don't know. Will it matter? I don't know. embarrassment of riches there. I apparently.
Hi, Chan.
Hey.
Hey. Well, could that be an A or an I?
Ay. Chan.
Ay.
Oh, all right. Let's continue.
Yeah, let's keep going.
What do you?
So yeah, I also put out North Shore coming out in full force. Fergals are in rough shape.
We should put an over under. We should put an over under on how many more over 150s the nincompoops get this year. I have a feeling they're going to have at least one more.
So you want to do an over under on like 1.5?
Yeah, I think 1.5 would be safe.
I would say under. I don't think he has it in him. Oh man, their team is just so. It's got players. Potential. He has players, but he also doesn't check his team for anything. So somehow he won like 3 championships, and the guy has put less work in the last like decade that Alex has put in the last 4 weeks.
I think by the end of the year, Alex will have put in more work than our rest of the league combined.
That's true.
And he will be sitting at 7-7. All right, who we got next?
Incoming comment. So I said, yeah, the Fighting Fergals are in real rough shape. They're in a bad place right now.
It is definitely not good. Aside from week 1 is the only time they've topped 100, and they got 100.6.
I think Kara keeps putting T. Higgins in, and we talked about it last week, and obviously she doesn't listen to us, and I don't really know if there'd be anybody else. Like, do you put Marquise Brown in instead?
I think she needs to just pick up somebody else. There are some possible wide receivers.
There are people, and I honestly, she should watch for when Josh activates
Cooper Kupp.
You know, he dropped somebody today, which Michael Thomas, he'd be better than T. Higgins. He'd be better than T. Higgins. But
now with Kupp being activated to practice, will he stay on IR in the game in fantasy, or will he immediately have to put him in?
I think as soon as he officially is activated for a game, I think you have to put him in.
So he can still practice. He can be activated to practice, but until he's put into a game, he can stay there.
Until he's put in a game, because you can put people on IR that are just considered out, that aren't officially classified as injured reserve.
Yeah, that will be very interesting, I guess, to watch, because part of the Josh's team is that he has those 2 players on the bench that will, because both are now activated or back to practice at least. So he's going to be having to drop 2 people, and that definitely does bear some close watching. Yeah, if I were him, I would be dropping them at like 1 a.m.
So no one knows. No one knows.
Quiet of the night. But yeah, the Fergals, I don't know. You look at their team, 4-1, 3-3. I mean, where do you go? I think she needs to be making more moves than she has. Just 2 is not enough for how bad her team is. Now, this comes down to how much she cares to really put it in there. In some ways, making 2 moves this early in the year is her carrying quite a bit.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, unfortunately, her tight end situation is really not going to get any better than it is. Like, there's no real tight ends out there anyway. But yeah, she needs to find a better running back than Javonte Williams, because he's just like, the Denver Broncos are just not a very good team, and so they're never going to be able to run the football.
They're going to be behind a lot.
They're going to be behind every single game. So can him put somebody else out there? Gus Edwards is an interesting pickup because he was supposed to take the mantle for J.K. Dobbins, but he just hasn't filled that role very, very well. Yeah, there are people on the bench. Like I picked up or on the free agency, and I was picking some people up, and I was just
I saw you took Collins. I've been so busy these last couple of days. I've been like,
I heard some buzz about him, and I'm like, I
There's been
need
buzz about him
something.
for a few weeks,
I
and
need
I've
to.
kind
I
of
need
thought about
to.
him, but as we'll talk about later, I've got both my wide receivers on bye this week, so I was like, I need somebody, and then I went and looked down there. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not taking that one, I guess.
Yeah.
So it'll be, and people are gonna have to make some moves during these buys too, which may cause them to sacrifice someone that could be worthy of her picking up. Otherwise, I mean, it's not like she's a lot of trade fodder, but she does have both Diggs and St. Brown. She might be able to get one of them so that she gets at least a running back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Bulldogs are right back to their consistent ways.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulldogs so far in their victories have gotten 129, 130, and 132.
Man.
So he's got his ceiling and he's got his off game, but
130. I mean, could you imagine if he had like any better quarterback other than like Matthew Stafford or Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence? Holding 3 quarterbacks on his team is kind of.
He's still destroying with
Questionable.
his defenses and kickers. I mean, both
Yeah, I
kickers
know.
16 and 14 again, and then defenses 7 and 29. I mean, if he had a super flex for an extra kicker, he would be really setting the world.
Yeah.
Here with some things, I guess. I know some people don't like kickers scoring big points. I don't mind it personally. I mean, it's a little bit artificially inflated, but at the same time, it's just kind of a fun ad, I think.
Yeah.
It gives them more to do a little bit, but we can talk about that more later. I do want to finish with one little stat here. So the Fergals are 0-4. The last time a team started with 4 losses was the Hurricane Force Winds in 2021, and they won in Game 5. The last time anybody went over 4 games was the 2020 Fergals, who went 5 games of losing before getting a win.
They went 0-5.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
They went 0-5 and then finished the season 7-7 and second overall.
No way.
They went to the championship game.
That's insane.
So there's hope.
That'd be insane. So she went on she lost 5 in a row and then basically
won 7 of her next 9.
7-2 for the next 9. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe she's got
and she made
story.
4 waiver moves that year.
My wife does not like the waiver wire. That is
so if
for
she's
sure.
feeling down, just reminder of 2020.
That is true.
It was a good year for her. Not for most people, but for her it was good.
All right.
Who's next?
We can do let's do your game, Poding Polecats.
All right.
You're coming alive. You're starting to.
It felt good to actually score some points finally. You know, we've been getting some wins by luck, but we got some points this time.
I mean, it helped that seems like as much as Alex talked about matchups last week about how he's all about the matchups, it seems like your matchups were wrong.
Well, I wrote here, and I remember talking last week in our preview of this game, saying he tinkers, and he's got so many players that it's a coin flip. I said there's a chance his good players are in his starts, and there's a chance his good players are in the bench, and we'll just have to see. And his good players ended up being in the bench. And that's a tough situation to be in, having a lot of players of very equal caliber.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Mark Andrews went off and he's sitting on the bench.
And we definitely said we should not be benching Andrews, and he specifically said, no, not against the Browns.
Yeah, that is. I remember that conversation, and he went with the like, you know, kind of the trending guy, Laporta.
Yeah,
who's been kind of like he's had a couple of decent games, but
I mean he's had one good game. Let's be real. Laporta had scores of
you're right.
7, 8, 21, and then 7
again. Basically.
Now 7's not terrible for a tight end.
No.
When you could have had
No.
21 with a, everybody else would have started him kind of guy. That's unfortunate. And yes, Derrick Henry did go off a bit. I don't know if I'd call 23 just straight up going off, but he finally had a better day after the previous week being down.
Yeah.
But a couple points here. The Polecats defense, another negative showing. Right now, after 4 weeks, the Polecats defenses are averaging 2.2.
Yikes.
So maybe I need to talk to the Bulldogs about a trade.
Yeah, he's got some decent defense.
And honestly, my kicker is junk this year. I want one of Todd's kickers who's getting
that's kind of
points a week.
Surprising. I mean, Justin Tucker. I mean, you're thinking
but he's like missing a field goal every week. He didn't even make a field goal this week. It's like, come on, man. I do have to give the worst bench award to Alex for the Mark Andrews decision that we've already talked about. When it comes to that, so congratulations.
Yeah,
for that award. But yeah, it was nice to see the Polecats get some points and finally kind of come together a little bit. Hopefully it's the start of something. I'm not optimistic for this next week, but we'll get there in a bit.
Yeah, it's rough. But all right, my game.
Your game, the White Lightning versus the McRibbed. By the way, Sam, I forgot to mention, did set, obviously, the current record for the highest score in the league this year. And you are currently setting the low bar for this year.
I was expecting that was coming, like not even topping 80. That is rough. I still wouldn't have won with Andrews. That is true. But you also had some guys on the bench. You had Chris Evans score 14. That may have been able to push you over the edge.
Is that like a defense against starting the other guy? I knew I wasn't going to win with Andrews, or is it just...
I mean, you'd have gotten.
I didn't want him to get hurt because he wasn't going to win.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'm struggling, man. I have a bunch of guys that pretty much average like 6 points
with
a game.
Jackson getting 28 points and your defense getting 10. Your defense and your quarterback.
My defense has been playing phenomenally. And,
I wish I had them.
And like the people, I'm struggling to find like Dameon Pierce. He's still like my keeper, the guy that was like kind of the backbone of my team last year, has done absolutely nothing. And I've been taking him out because of it. And it's proven right. I mean, he scored me a few more points than Ramondre Stevenson would have. Mm-hmm. But, and again, like New England is so bad right now. So,
would have been nice to have Morin. I don't, I wanted to make win the game. So I guess, leave him on the bench. But
Eckler is a frustrating scratch too, where it's just like this guy who's did super well in week 1 and has done absolutely nothing since. But I mean, like my teams have turned into the injury teams where it's like I get these guys and then they get injured.
You got one injury. That's not.
Jonathan Taylor last year is the same thing. Running backs are
first round running back tends to not work for you, but that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal.
I mean, it's a big deal to me.
It's a very big deal. That should be a player putting up 20 points every week.
Either way, I went up against the champ. McCaffrey scored 45 freaking points. Otherwise, and his kicker scored 23 points. Outside of that, it should have been a fairly
even with McCaffrey scoring the 45, the White Lightning scored their lowest score of the year.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a little frustrating and probably should be scary to the rest of the league that this is probably White Lightning's floor.
Yeah.
Now, we'll see when buys hit, but with a full team, which is what we'll have come championship season, this is probably about as, I don't know, he may He may pull off a year with no sub 100s. We'll see. I do believe the Polecats did that last year.
Did you do it? You didn't get below 100 once?
I feel like we were talking about it pretty late in the season. It may have happened when Hurts got injured towards the end, but I don't recall. I'd have to go back.
I thought there was one game that there was kind of like a scrappy win. Like you won, like basically like you shouldn't have won, but like the other team just kind of collapsed. But I'm not 100% sure.
I will have to take a little check here while we talk. Maybe while you're doing the ad, I'll dig into that a little bit.
Either way, I scored half the amount of points that the North Shore Nincompoops did this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
was I think one thing for Josh is that if you're going to start Tua, you're going to be on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
You're going to have a week where you score 40, and you're going to have a week where you put up 10.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. I think that's Eckler is busting your balls. Yeah, he is. You want him? I'll trade you. You just got to give me a bunch of stuff for him.
He's got a real good matchup next week.
He's got a real good matchup. Nobody.
Let's see. All right. I pulled up last year's stats. Never scored under 100 in the regular season. The lowest score they had was 112.
That's good. That's good.
Until the championship game when they scored 99.43.
Oh, so you did.
The very last game, the championship. Now, to be fair, I obviously was missing Tyler Bass. Had he even kicked a little bit, we would have got the 100.
Yeah.
So if we ever had, I don't think he ever actually went in and put in the adjusted points officially. So we're going to say I did top 100.
I mean, I'm fine with that.
Okay, as long as we all agree on that. All right, it looks like we're rolling unsponsored this week.
We are rolling a little unsponsored, which is
so maybe check that Patreon if you're interested. We got lots of bonuses in there.
Yeah, lots of bonuses.
Free access to my record book.
Yeah. So we'll move on to
some stats. What do you got? I do have a couple interesting stats. I decided to kind of dig into the records, current records for this year. Some of those weird ones that you don't always look at, like overall team scores and stuff. There's a couple interesting ones. And so I'll let you guess here. Which team do you think so far has had the most touchdowns?
Jordan.
It is the Polecats.
Oh, really? You've had the most touchdowns?
21 touchdowns.
Wow.
And I've still been struggling along. So touchdowns alone won't do it, boys and girls. Not when your defense is getting you -4.
Yeah, that's true.
And how about the least?
Kara.
The Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs have had the least amount of touchdowns?
Only had 13 touchdowns.
I feel like this is some weird, like, where statistically this shouldn't be happening.
He's getting lots of yards. This must be what it is. Yards and receptions. That'll get you there. Yeah. Nakua put up 25 2 weeks in a row without a touchdown.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't need it. And his kicker and defense are getting a heck of points every week. So the most rushing yards, I just thought this was not that interesting. It should be probably who we expect.
Most rushing yards. Trying to think here. Who do I think has the most rushing yards? Probably Alex. So the
Jackals with all their running back glory.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm just thinking of Alex, and doesn't he have Tyreek? Oh, I guess he's a wide receiver. What am I thinking?
Yeah. I mean, maybe he has the most yards after the catch. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably it.
And here's an interesting stat for Alex. And I know he'll be putting this into his algorithm for next week. So far, his kickers have only scored 2 field goals all year.
So he's scored 2 field goals all year.
In 4 games, the kickers he started have scored 2 field goals. All the rest have been point after.
Extra points. Wow.
And I went back. I was like, that doesn't sound right because he's gotten some points. But no, I went back and looked at each of his games, and they're all like 4 PAT, 3 PAT.
That's insane.
So I see he's starting a new kicker though for this week, so I'm sure he's already well aware of that stat and is jumping on it.
That's crazy.
So there's a couple interesting little stats that I thought kind of stuck out to me.
Yeah, those are some good stats
as we were going through some stuff. So my power ranking, I did do a little adjusting to the power ranking. You won't be surprised. I am leaving the White Lightning at the top. I know they had a bit of a down week, but I still think overall they've got the most powerful team.
Yeah.
I'm also keeping the Bulldogs number 2. They popped right back into 130 world, and I think that's probably fair to be around where they'll be when they're winning. I did move the Polecats up 3 to 3rd, maybe a little optimistic because I'm biased, but they are 3rd in the standings right now and finally had a decent showing. So you can argue with that one if you want, but I didn't think the Jackals should stay 3rd. So I moved them down to 4th. And I probably could have dropped them lower. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll call an audible. I'm going to drop me more. I'm going to move the Nincompoops up to 4th.
Wow. The Nincompoops.
Maybe that's a severe overreaction. Maybe I'm point chasing. But I think that's more in line with their potential could be. So we'll see. I'm going to have, honestly, I just feel like the Destroyers and the McRibs are basically tied. Maybe a little edge to the Destroyers. So I'm putting the Destroyers in 5th and the McRibs in 6th. And then we're going to drop those Jackals down to 7th. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Whoa.
Do it. I think when you look, like when we just earlier went back and looked at all of his scores this year, it's just not impressive.
Yeah.
As Shania Twain said, that don't impress me much. And then obviously the Fergals in 8th until otherwise.
Fergals, that's the easy pick.
Until they roar back and get to the championship game.
Yeah. Do you factor in benches into your power rankings?
I don't, because if you didn't start them, it don't matter. Your ability to manage your team matters too.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, a little bit, but for the most part, no.
Yeah. I mean, he's legitimately, this is Chuck's opinion power ranking. So, Alex, I would not take too much where he's like.
I mean, if you want a true power rankings, just line up the points 4, and there you go.
He's not sitting there for hours on end looking for the.
I literally made a bunch of changes right now. If you want to go through the points 4, what do we got? The top, it's really tight here. The White Lightning 495 basically, and the Bulldogs 490. That's really close at the top there. And then 3rd is actually the Nincompoops, 452.
But again, that's also hyperinflated because he scored 160 points this week.
Of course. But to be fair, he was scoring junk before that. So
well, but I mean, to be fair, he's only 30. He's basically only 35 points behind me, and I scored half the points. He scored 79 more points than I did.
I'm just okay. He's 3rd though. He's 3rd. 4th would be the Jackals with 440. 5th is the Polecats, 436, very close. Then you got the Destroyers, 429. McRibbed, 418. That shocks me how low you are in the points 4. I guess that's hyper underinflated from this week. And then
hyper underinflated, yeah.
And then the Fergals, 377.
If I breach 100, I'm over by Josh. If I can even get 100 points this week, still lose, I'm still up by the points 4 by Josh.
Yeah, it's I thought I wrote down some stats here about that stuff, but I guess I didn't. Oh well. The Fergals are pretty far behind the next closest team points, and then points against the Jackals. Man, 500. They're averaging 120 some points against them.
Yeah,
week, and that's a little inflated by the playing the White Lightning, but not that much.
And Chuck, on the other hand, 132 points, 131 points difference.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Down to 368.
I just know that I wrote this stat down and I cannot find it for the life of me. But the I'm pretty sure the Polecats are like 75 points under the average points against.
Wow.
In the league right now. So I'll take it.
Gotta take it when you can get it, you know?
You can't control who you're playing.
Yep.
Only Josh can.
Josh can.
Well, let's look ahead.
Wait, so hang on. We got to make sure here.
Oh, sorry.
When is officially? I just want to look ahead a little bit. When's officially our week 8 is going to be our rivalry week, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then are we going to be doing a throwback week as well?
We definitely should. Either a throwback week or some other sort of special week.
Well, we should do a throwback week and a special week. So maybe we should do either a special week or throwback week before rivalry week, then do rivalry week, then do another special week.
I think we should. Throw it out there.
Throw it out in the Discord. So, Alex, you're probably the only one responding because my guess is my brother fell asleep during this and is snoring at this moment. But throwback week is where we actually changed our logos and names to teams that we've had in the past.
Well, I would say you don't want to do week 7. You want 2 in a row, and week 5 is next week. So you'd have to do week 6 for one of them.
So because you're kind of an expansion team / basically the Ravens version of the Browns, you'll have to
of the hurricane force winds and the basketball bulldogs.
You could use the hurricane force winds. You could do the Iowa Army Ants. You could do although I would stay away from the
Let's let the Iowa Army
Ants. That's the maybe not do the Iowa Army Ants, but I mean, I'm allowing him if he wanted to do a name.
If he wants to pull one from his other league, he could.
I know you've only been doing it for 3 years, but if you found
and let's not forget, he does have a throwback name. He has Cut My Balls. We have a logo for him and everything. You could still use my amazing logo that I put together for you.
That's true. It's true.
I think week 6 should be a special week. And then I would say maybe week, you probably don't want to over like Thanksgiving week, but somewhere around like week 10, 11, or 12.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the other one.
We could do 6 be a special week. And then we were talking about different weeks, Alex, about doing like a themed week, like sci-fi week or Star Wars week. I mean, we could do all Star Wars and just have different.
There's plenty of name options there.
There's plenty of name options.
Do a Seinfeld week.
Ooh, are there 8 characters? There's enough characters you could do.
No, but you could have someone's the puffy shirts, someone's the ass man,
Yeah,
someone's
that
the
is true.
Nazis,
That's true. That'd be good.
You got plenty to pull from. So I think we'll definitely need to put something on the Discord, let people float out some ideas of special themes.
So some breaking news, just so everybody knows, the Brewers have been officially eliminated from the playoffs. So congrats on the Brewers on another seemingly successful season that goes down in horrifying fashion. Get bounced out right away. 0-2. That sucked. But yeah. We'll float that out in the Discord. In my other league right now, I changed my name to 4chan because I picked up I-Chan.
I-Chan.
That's a good one. I actually like that 4chan thing.
That's actually
because it kind of looks like the A too. So it's like,
and if you're into that kind of far right websites.
Oh yeah, gotta love it. Flat earthers out over there need some love.
Yeah, so look forward to that. Get your ideas ready. Start ruminating.
Yeah. All right, let's go to picks, man.
How'd our picks go last week?
So, okay. Well, we had a number of people, both Todd, Jordan, Alex and Sam didn't make picks. So
okay.
it was
That makes it
just
hard.
me, you, Kara, and Josh. And the only reason Kara made picks was because I told her that they were available, and she told me what her picks were, and I did it myself. But Josh had a real stinker of a week. Only won one, so he went 1-3. He picked Todd over Kara.
That was pretty safe.
Chuck, you got them all. You cleaned the board, so you got every single person right. I got 3 of the 4 right. Did not pick. I keep picking Kara, thinking eventually this week's going to be the week that she breaks the losing streak.
Where are we overall now? If Josh had a pretty bad week, I had a good one.
Yeah, so he's 10-6 on top. You're 9-7, so you have 9 wins. Then there is a lot of 6s. In fact, Alex, Todd, me are all 6s. Kara and Jordan are at 5s, and Sam is at a staggering and unbelievable 0.
We should have just asked him next week's ones while we were with him.
He probably wouldn't even know. I can't imagine.
He wouldn't even know. He'd be like, who's the
I remember him texting us. You remember that? Texted us and said, somebody's going to have to help me through this spreadsheet. It seems pretty complicated. This was, yeah, he said that in a text. And I was like, how do you not, as a millennial, understand a spreadsheet?
I think he's still lost.
For those who are listening, please go to the Pick'em spreadsheet. It is pinned in the main chat of our Discord. Make your picks. That's kind of a fun. I mean, Alex, even though you missed it, you are still in it. Jordan, you're still in it.
Way too early to be out.
In fact, Alex, you are miraculously still in it, and you missed 2 days, 2 weeks. You missed week 1 and the last week, and you're
still 2 weeks. He's got 6 of them right.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, he's gone 3-1 both times.
That's
I mean, like, you're still in it. Keep doing it. I mean, technically, even Sam, you're in it.
Maybe he's showboating. He's only going to do every other week.
We got a lot. So we got a lot left.
Let's get to our picks for this week.
All right. So first one, me and Alex. What are your thoughts?
The Destroyers and the McRibs. We got 2-2 versus 2-2. So let's take a look at the team here real quick. I put we're obviously into bye weeks now. So we are into that joyful part of the season, which we will be in until roughly December with things. So I think we've got some affecting. Obviously, the Destroyers recently picked up Ford, and now he will not be of any use to them this week. Same with Godwin. Meanwhile, you are dealing with Lockett and I guess technically Eckler, but it doesn't matter. So you're pretty even there. I'd say Ford's the bigger hit for him. I don't think he's been starting Godwin. Anyway, he did switch out his kicker to Aubrey. We will see if he can actually score a field goal.
Yep.
The McRibs are underdogs as always. Not by a ton, though. I think when I look at these, it's interesting. I was looking back at both the Destroyers and the McRibs scores, and both of them, like 3 of the 4 weeks, basically score like 105.
Yeah.
They're really even teams. And I wish you weren't meeting during a bye week, but I said I predict 109 to 105. The Pleasures.
Oh, you think you're picking me?
I just, I think.
I think his
very even.
I think putting his trust in, and now again, this is kind of self-sabotage in my mind. If Alex is listening and taking my advice, but having Justin Fields in there is, I think you think, oh, he went off last week, and so this is going to be the new Justin Fields, and it's like, but history has shown us that he's topping out at about 10 points a game. In one game, he got 27 points. Do I think he's going to do that again? Absolutely not. Especially it's at Washington. It's under the bright lights of Thursday Night Football. Justin Fields is not going to be playing very well.
And something to keep an eye on. It is not certain that Barkley will play. If he doesn't, he'd have to move Madison into the other running back and have to put in either London or Sutton or Laporta as his flex or pick someone else up. So that could definitely bring down the projections if that happens, because you're not going to pick up someone with a 14-point projection right now.
Well, good. I'm glad did
you say who you're?
I'm gonna bank on myself. I've been in a little bit of a slump here, and I think I can get over it. I really do.
Better matchup for Fields. I don't know, man. I guess yes, you do you when it comes to the matchups.
Kirk Cousins. I mean, yes, Kansas City is a worse matchup, but there's better quarterbacks on the freaking waiver wire right now than both of those guys. And for whatever reason, you're in love with the NFC North and want to just ride those guys. That's fine. You can have Jordan Love too if you want the trifecta. I'll just trade him to you for.
Is anybody starting Goff? Does anybody even have Goff? I bet he's on the waivers.
Trade him for ETN.
There you go. You heard
it here. Like who I said, ETN. I'm in love with ETN, man. I want him. And you can have.
I'm surprised you didn't. Was he available for you as a keeper?
Right? No, because I didn't have ETN. Kara did. I told Kara to freaking keep ETN at like a.
You got Brock Purdy on the waiver still.
Yeah, Brock Purdy. Although he has not been a fantasy giant at all. So
no, but he's getting you pretty solid every time.
Like 15 points. I don't know if 15 points is pretty solid. Like I always thought as a quarter. Now, granted, the quarterback rules this year have been like super wonky because of Josh.
Oh, you got 15, 14, and then 20 and 22. Yeah, it's meh.
It's 15. 20 should be your average quarterback. Like average a good quarterback, 20 points. But
yeah, anyway, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, go for it, man. So next up, let's go Tharsis Jackals versus Bulldogs.
This should be a revealing game.
This is a close one.
One very tight projection right now. Not even 0.2 basically separating it in the projections. I like.
Hey, Josh has Jared Goff.
That's too bad. Maybe you could trade. We did some buys for Josh. Yeah, both. Yep. Josh has got Herbert on bye, Walker, who's been a pretty big point scorer for him, and Cooper. So pretty good amount of players that he's been starting a lot are on a bye. So this could be a good week to be going against the Jackals. They do have Kane on there this time, so we'll see if against the Giants he's able to put up another 30. Since you've actually started him, he's probably going to put up 10.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Bulldogs are without just Chubb, who's on IR, so they are at full power.
Yeah, full power
for this game. I put here, even with this projection so close, I trust another 130 for the Bulldogs, and I don't trust a 130 for the Jackals, so I pick the Bulldogs.
Even though this isn't helping me, I have to pick it. Because absolutely,
it's too early. It's too early in the year to be like, I gotta pick the under.
I know that's true.
Right now, you just go for the points.
It's true.
And we'll see. Maybe I'll reach out and see if I can get a hold of Butker.
Yeah, maybe
he'll just want. Maybe. He just likes having two kickers. Maybe he'll just straight up take Justin Tucker.
That's true. All right, next matchup. Let's do Jordan and Chuck. So the Appalachian White Lightning versus the Poning Polecats. Gotta go. See you later. Well, it's good to have you, Alex.
Well, we got 2, 3, and 1.
Appreciate it.
2, 3, and 1. So someone's coming out 4 and 1. I do want to just preface this by saying I have not really had time to maintain my team yet this week. I'm
sure
might very well be replacing Tucker finally, and I'm very likely going to be replacing Pittsburgh. So will that make enough to change it? Probably not, but I am going to be making some changes there. I'm dealing with a pretty rough buys. I got both Metcalf and Allen out, which has kind of been the heart of my team. So I had to move Nakua up. I got to hope Hopkins. Who do you pick, Hopkins or Christian Watson?
Yeah, they're both basically probably going to get like the 10-point mark.
Yeah. So meanwhile, the White Lightning, who are one of the best teams in the league, have nobody on bye. So this is not the best situation for me.
No, not really.
It felt good to get the 120 some points, but I'm not going to be getting that again this week.
I mean, Kelsey could go off.
He could. Anybody could go off, and that's what it's going to take to get a win. I wrote it's a bad week to not be facing the Fergals for me.
Although, to be honest, I could see – the thing is, so here's the deal. Travis Kelce, unfortunately, has really taken – not only did the injury hurt him that first week, but this whole Taylor Swift business has really affected his game, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's you have to deal with the fact that now Patrick Mahomes is feeling pressure to get the ball to him, so he may be forcing balls that he shouldn't be. More teams are taking notice of Travis Kelce, so they're going to be doubling him up, so it's going to be harder to get to. It's rough if you're a Travis Kelce person, and it's all because of Taylor Swift.
And honestly, I think a lot of opposing defenses, he's somebody who wasn't really on their radar until they started hearing about.
I mean, he should have been on their radar, but he wasn't. Now it's literally like, well, we know who he's going to be going to this week.
Well, I mean, how many defensive coordinators do you think came home and their wife was like, "Did you hear who Taylor Swift's dating?" They're like, "Who's that?"
Who's Travis Kelce? I've never even heard of the guy.
Better start getting the tape out. So, yeah, I'm not going to be getting a 125 this week. So I have to pick the White Lightning.
Really? So we are all you're going for who you think is going to win.
I hope I win, but it's going to take his team having some problems like last week, and it's going to take my team really putting some things together, including some guys who haven't been.
Yeah. All right. Last one. The bottom
headliner of the week, huh?
Headliner of the week. I mean, it's basically what the Thursday night football is. Washington Redskins versus the Bears. This is the North Shore Nincom versus the Fighting Fergals. This is like the battle of the bottoms.
Although, honestly, Washington is not that bad this year.
No, but they aren't playing. They're just not. I mean, they're in a division.
They're not a draw. Them against the Bears is not a draw. So here, I put it as the 1-7 bowl.
The 1-7. Oh yeah, you're right. They are combined 1-7.
Sam, listen to me. Get Montgomery in the game. He's got a great matchup, as Alex would say, if I remember correctly.
What's surprising though is he's still the lowest of all of his basically running backs.
He's going against Carolina, who gives up the fourth most points.
Actually, he could take out Miles Sanders.
Take out Sanders. Sanders will not help you. The Nincompoops aren't going to get 160, but I think they're going to be closer to 140 than 80 in most weeks. I see this being the start of something for them. It's a rough opponent for the Fergals to try to finally get right. So I got to pick the Nincompoops.
Well, I'm picking Kara. This will be our one difference maker. So at least one of us is coming away from this with 1 point.
That's good. This is good.
So even if Alex wins, Josh wins, and you win, one of us is going to be 1-3. The other person's going to be 0-4.
It's interesting when you look at the matchups this week. Nobody's records are separated by more than one win.
I mean, it's early.
It's early, but I mean, you do have an 0-4 and a 1-3 team, and they're playing each other.
That's true.
So that makes everybody else stay really, really tight.
That is true.
It's kind of interesting. So we will see how the week plays out. We get this week, and then more and more buys. There's always that 1 week, and I don't know what week it is, where there's like 6 teams on a buy. And
it's just brutal.
Miserable.
I think that's week 7 or 11 this year. There's a lot of people out week 7. I see. But anyways, I'm going to reiterate again. If people are watching, get your picks in, people. Go to the pinned Discord chat and put your picks in. This is fun. It's fun that Chuck and I can kind of do this. And if it's just Chuck, I, and Josh, then, I mean, it's still fun. But at the same time, it's not as interesting. It's not that hard to once. What's that?
Week 7 and 13 are the ones with
6 teams on buys. Yeah, those are brutal.
Yep.
So yeah, just get your picks in. It's been fun so far. It's nice that we're kind of still pretty tight and close. So
yeah, we're very
get it in.
Well, do you have any thoughts on the NFL as a whole?
Well, I mean, the Packers really stunk it up last week.
Raiders are a good team to bounce back against. Adams gonna see his old buddies.
Yeah. I mean, it's weirdly surprising though. Like when the Lions win, I don't feel as bad. Like they're one of those teams where they've been so bad for so long, and even though they're a divisional rival, technically, it's not like you kind of root for them. You're just like you kind of want
teams like
you kind of want the scrappy little teams to win.
For the most part, I always feel that way about the Browns. Not really since the Watson trade, but I usually do. The Jaguars, I always kind of am like, good for them. Honestly, right now, the Texans getting 2 wins in a row. It's kind of like,
Texans, Dolphins. I'm always a Dolphins fan, so like you root for them to like do something. Right now, I've been rooting for the Jets. I root hard against the Chiefs. Mainly, the Jets, part of that has to do with the Taylor Swift crap. I'm just like, I'm so sick of watching.
The Chiefs are my AFC.
The Chiefs are your AFC team. I mean, I like Andy Reid. I like Patrick Mahomes.
I'm not a bandwagon here either because this is before when they had Alex Smith and everything. But when I lived in Southern Iowa, most of my friends in the area were Chiefs fans, and so they had the games on a lot when I'd be around on Sundays, and so it just kind of
makes sense.
Because I was like, you know what, they barely ever play the Packers. I'm like, all right, I'll cheer for the Chiefs. And that side of things. I guess my thought is that we are now officially over a calendar year without the Bears getting a win.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Bears.
Their last win was October 1st.
That is a team I don't care if they don't win another game for the rest of the season. Like they can go on 16. Them and the Vikings, I cannot stand either of those teams.
I don't like them and the Vikings. I don't really pull for the Patriots still, even though they're several years removed now. The Tom Brady thing.
49ers, I can't root for. Cowboys, I can't root for.
I don't really want the 49ers. The problem with the 49ers is just like a plug and play for the quarterback. It's like disgusting.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's
frustrating. It's like, how does one team get that much?
Yeah.
So,
but yeah,
that's for the week. Otherwise, I hope everybody the best of luck navigating their buys. I think we avoided any catastrophic injuries to big name players this week. So hopefully that continues again next week, and maybe some of the players that are on our IR lists can start bouncing back.
Yeah. Well,
remember to vote for your teams. Remember to look forward to some talk on the Discord about special weeks, and we will see you next week.
See you all next week.